Play some Skinnerd, man. Play some Skinnerd. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't take requests. Wrong. I do. Welcome to the superpilotish channel. My name's Graham Wilson, and I take requests in my basement. So I did get a request the other day, or actually just today, about because I was looking for a topic to talk about, and I got a tip from one of my viewers, and he said, "Hey, you should talk about Rick's garden." So it's like, okay, I will. Hey, Dan, I see you in here. Yeah, so Rick's Garden, I found this. It's a YouTube channel. It's just kind of starting off. He's got a few videos there that are pretty interesting, actually. And so I figured I'd do just a bit of a review on this guy's YouTube channel. Now, I mean, I live in a glass house here, so I can't throw any stones, right? I'm not saying that this is the best channel in the world either, but oh, hey, Denise, are you here? Yeah, so this guy, Rick's Garden, he told me he had a channel. I checked it out, and it's pretty interesting. I took a few little notes that I'm looking at over here, and like I said, it's got a little bit of everything. He's got cooking on there. He's got his dog. He's got some chickens, and so he kind of lives. I wouldn't say it's really a farm by the looks of it, but it's a huge garden. So I mean, I have massive garden envy with this guy. So it's like Rick's Garden. I put a link in the description below if you guys want to check it out. It's Rick Rick's Garden, and yeah, check it out. Subscribe, something like that. You might like it. And oh, hey, Wrench, I see you here too. So you can check out Wrench's too, or Wrench's channel, HRENCH Wrench, and yeah, he's got some cool videos of robots doing stuff on his channel. So yeah, okay. So I just wanted to mention a little bit about Rick's channel. What else can I tell you? Oh, so I'm guessing I think it's somewhere down in the southern United States somewhere. So I know it's not. It can't be Georgia. It can't be Alabama because it doesn't have the red soil there. So I'm thinking around Texas, Oklahoma, something like that. He's got kind of a bit of that southern accent. So I'm guessing it's around there. I think Texas maybe. But yeah, so pretty interesting channel. I give it a huge thumbs up, and there we go. I just killed a couple minutes of my show. Anyways, and I think that's all I can talk about that. And then so now we'll get into the our lawn care here. So I never really was much on being big on like, oh, my lawn has to be perfect or anything like that. It's like, it's green. Weeds are green. Who cares? Just cut it. It looks good. But I don't know. It's I kind of and this will be coming around to aviation a little bit too. I got to do that sometimes. And yeah, so okay, I don't really think too much about my grass, but this year I'm gonna try to. I guess it's sort of an experiment, sort of a pride thing, pride of home ownership or something like that. Just kind of feel like doing a bit better of a lawn this year. And so, okay, I guess we'll kind of start off with okay, how does this tie into aviation here? I've talked to a few guys that own grass runways, like they have a grass strip on their farm. And so I've talked to them, and what they were telling me is that they spend more time cutting the grass than they do flying their airplanes there. So if you are going to have a grass strip on your farm, you better like cutting the grass. And there are ways that I was kind of thinking about that. Maybe if I ever got a chunk of, I don't know, you got like a chunk of land somewhere, and it's like, I got some weird little pop-up popped up on my screen here. That's weird. Bizarro. All right. So yeah, what was I talking about before I got distracted by some weird pop-up? Never seen that before. Anyways, yeah, talking about the grass strips, you better like it. Oh, and then I was kind of thinking about if I ever got a chunk of land somewhere, that would be kind of cool to put in a little grass strip, but then that's a lot of grass to cut. And the wider it is, it's like, that's even more. So yeah, I don't think I really want to do that. But then I was also looking into what what do you got to do for that? I know that drainage is important, and I did like a really quick search here. I didn't, and I remember seeing something directly from Transport Canada on this. But I did a quick Google search before coming on live here, and I didn't find the info from Transport Canada, but the Canadian Aircraft Owners Pilots COPA, what do you call it? The Canadian version of AOPA. Anyways, they Owner Pilots Association. They put out a pretty good booklet about that, where they tell you what you got to do and how much you got to drain it for, or how much you got to crown the middle of it for drainage. You don't want to have any mud puddles in your runway. The grass strips that I've ever flown into, they were all pretty well kept, I would say. A lot of guys, I mean, that's the thing. If you got your grass strip, man, you become like really, I got to do it just right for my plane. Well, you don't want to, you don't want to be smacking up your plane if you're flying in there, or anyone else's if they're coming in to visit. So I did look. I remember years ago I was looking at it, and it's like they have a specific, depending on like what your soil is like. They say, okay, plant this much Kentucky bluegrass, this much ryegrass, this much hay. Like it's like a lot of the times there'll be like little percentages of like clover and stuff in there, and it really is quite the I don't know, I guess the horticultural aviation experience to do that. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to see if I can kill some dandelions in my front lawn. So I did find this other, and once you start getting into something on YouTube, you go down like rabbit holes and stuff like that. So I'm like, oh, what do I got to do? And everyone's talking about like, oh, you got to buy this and you do this, and you see YouTube videos and guys are driving like $10,000 lawnmowers and tractors and stuff, and I'm like, I don't want to spend that. I got an old lawnmower that's starting to rust out in the garage here, and it's like meh. It's like it's starting to rust out. It came with the house when we bought it, so yeah, I don't know. I'm not buying some big, and I don't have much grass here anyways. And yeah, so Wrench is saying here, bees love dandelions. Just keep them. Oh yeah, that's another cool thing there. Yeah, I do. I'm just gonna keep the front yard looking good. The back, we have a lot of clover in the back, so I like that because it attracts pollinators for the garden. So I'm gonna keep the back a little bit more wild, a little bit more clover. And dude, I see you here too. Yeah, so that's kind of be a business in the front, party in the rear kind of thing. And yeah, so it was and then that reminded me too. I always like, I live in the city here, so I was wondering where do all these pollinators live? And so this is kind of getting into gardening, I guess, a little bit, but it's just I found out where a bee lives around here. I was out hooking up because we had the nice weather. It got cold again, but I was out kind of. I have a rain collection barrel in the front, and then in the wintertime, I'll disconnect that and I'll just have the water run off into the front lawn. And then once it gets spring, I rehook it up so that it can go into the water barrel. So I was there doing that yesterday, day before. And there's this bee flying around me all over the place. And now it wasn't like a yellow jacket wasp, whatever you want to call them. It was just like, it was a nice fuzzy honeybee, and they usually don't bother you or anything like that. I was like, man, why is this? Usually honeybees, they just leave you alone. Like they leave you alone, they go away. Well, it turns out I was pardon the pun, but I was bugging this bee because uh, I saw he landed, and there was like a little hole in the brick, and he just went inside the little hole in the brick. So this bee found a way to get into my brick in the front of my house. Uh, and I was like, wow, it was pretty cool. I guess it was from somebody at some point had drilled a hole, gotten a masonry bit and drilled a hole to put maybe an older drain pipe on there. And so the hole was still there, must have gone all the way through the brick. And so bee was probably making a little nest on the other side of it, which is cool. I mean, the bees can live in my house as long as it's not swarming or anything. And those honeybees are pretty good. They never sting you. So there we go. I got diverted by a bee. They'll do that. And yeah, so what else we got to do here? Yes, Denis, you're right. Yeah, you don't want to have those bees in your pedo tube. Although I have had that happen to me before too, though. Okay, we're gonna make another aviation story. Where I was working before, we were noticing that the airspeed was not what was it? It wasn't reading correctly or something like that. Oh no, that was it. We noticed that there was a little crack developing on the flap of the airplane, and that usually happens when the flaps are oversped. So we're looking at it, and like the airspeed was working on the plane, and but it's like, what's going on here? So the flaps were getting, anyways, it was part of a check that they had to do for their regular maintenance, and then they checked the pressure on the pitot tube and it wasn't right, so it was just off a little bit. So what they did is they took some compressed air and they blew it out, and there was a little bee stuck in the pitot tube that registers your airspeed. And it was just enough of a little bee guts or whatever it was, that the airspeed would still work, but it would underread. So let's just say you want to lower your flaps at 85 knots. Well, it needs all that extra pressure to get by the bee, so you're actually maybe going 100 knots when to register 85, and then you're putting your flaps down at a higher speed. So it's like, it was really weird that a bee actually caused the flap to overspeed. And there's also, if you're ever flying around, there's this really funky, weird looking bee. I'm getting totally off topic here. I don't care. But while I'm talking about blocked pitot tubes for your airspeed, there's this. If you check it out on Wikipedia, there's this little bug called a mud dauber. It's this really funky, weird looking, I don't know, little kind of, almost looks kind of like a hornet or something like that. I saw one in my garden once and I was like, what's that? So it was like strange looking bee, weird color. And this mud dauber, what it does is it makes its nest, it picks up mud, makes a little nest in a hole. And it turns out the ideal hole for this mud dauber is the same diameter as I think it's a 737 on there. Like on big jets, they have kind of a bigger pitot tube. And there was like a couple crashes have happened because they parked their plane. I think it was in South America, one of them that comes to mind. And yeah, so they park the plane, they pick up a bunch of passengers. This mud dauber goes in there with a bunch of mud, plugs up the air where the airspeed registers in the pitot tube, and the plane actually crashed. And then they found out, oh yeah, there was mud in there from this bug. So the mud dauber, it's you gotta, if you're down in South America or you got a pitot tube that's a little bit bigger, you might want to cover that up. So um yeah, so what do we got here? Okay, talking about lawns. Yeah, so gonna make it a little bit better. And so no matter yeah, I found this one cool YouTube site called Budget Lawns. And after the show, I'm gonna put a link in the description to him. I like this guy's attitude towards lawns, and it's mostly like, yeah, don't do anything just yet. So I kind of like that. He's not like, oh, you got to do this exactly like this. He's like, yeah, wait a little bit. If you're not sure about how much fertilizer, don't burn the lawn. Just put a little less on there. So I like this guy's attitude towards it. And so Budget Lawns, you can check that out. He's my guy now. I subscribe to his channel. And yeah, so the talking about the lawns there. I think I mentioned it in my last show. Like they put in some new sidewalks here a few years ago, and then they laid down, they packed down some, I guess would just be regular topsoil, clay, crap soil, or whatever. Then they threw some sod on top of it, and it never really is taken that well. I have a feeling the soil underneath is pretty crappy, so it probably needs a little bit of fertilizer or something. So The general consensus from what I've seen is, you got to buy some fertilizer. I wanted to do things on the cheap, so I got myself just whatever cheapo fertilizer I got down at the hardware store, and yeah, I drilled out a bunch of. Actually, I drilled a bunch of holes with this guy over here. I had this drill. I don't know where or how I bought this thing. It says it was $10.99, but it's a 1-inch. What do we got here? It's like a 1-inch drill, and it's got like a carbide tip on it. I don't know why I bought it. It's kind of dull, but it was good enough to jam into the dirt. And so I made a whole bunch of 1-inch holes about that deep, 3 inches, 4 inches deep. And hey, I actually got to use it. So I don't know why I bought that. I think I was, yeah, don't remember. Sometimes you get these things and you forget I'm going to use that one day, and then you never do, but I actually did. But I don't know, I was probably trying to put a hole through some brick or something, but it didn't work. Anyways, yeah, so I drilled a bunch of holes in there to aerate the soil a little bit when it was still nice and dry. Then the rain came the other day, and I was out there yesterday, and it's like, oh, I'll fertilize it. So you don't burn your lawn. Like they generally say, like I was thinking, just grab it, throw it on there. But if you have any little clumps of fertilizer, that'll burn your lawn. But luckily, I have a tool that you might have seen at the beginning here. This is a colander that I found on the street, so the price is right. It was free. So we were walking back from the grocery store the other day, and it was like, hey, there's some people, people throw out their stuff by the side of the road, hoping that someone picks it up. We got rid of a chair that way before. We just stuck it out, and 15 minutes it was gone. Someone picked it up. So we saw that over a couple days, it went from like a dresser to, what was it? There was a dresser, some shelves, some other little stuff there, and it got down and down over a couple days. And then I was thinking, oh, what can I do for my fertilizer? And I'm like, oh, I wonder if that colander is still down at the corner. So I walked down there. That was the last thing. I picked it up, brought it home. So cool. I put the fertilizer in there, spread it all out. It looked to me like it did a pretty good job. So anyways, colander, highly recommended. And the best price of all, free. So that's budget lawns for you. And so I figured it rained, that stuff gets in there. I'm going to overseed, as they call it, I guess, and throw some more seeds in there, and we'll see how it goes. I got some, then I'm going to talk about weed killer here too. Exciting. So I was thinking about, I don't want to get like a whole bunch of wild chemicals on my lawn, but I don't know. I went to the store last year. For some reason, I bought some weed killer. Weed Be Gone is what it's called. And so I got this stuff. I was like, does this work? I was trying to think about like, would it work on, I had some creeping Charlie out there, and it actually killed the creeping Charlie last year pretty good. So maybe I actually started my lawn ideas last year, but yeah, so that worked great. But I was like, I don't know if I really want to put on like a lot of chemicals on my lawn and stuff like that. So I was looking at what's the active ingredient in this, and it was Fe something something something. So from your chemistry classes, Fe is ferrous stuff, which is iron. And so I did a little bit more research on that. And if you have a weed killer with this Fe blah blah blah, it's called an iron chelate. And yeah, I guess what it does is it's just like you overload, you spray it on. It only works on broadleaf plants like dandelions, creeping Charlie. It worked, stuff like that. It doesn't affect your grass because your grass is too tough. But yeah, it just kind of gets on there, and it's a little gooey, a little sticky, and then it kind of dries out. And then, oh, the irony! Yes, Rich. So yeah, this stuff, it just kind of sticks on the leaves, and it keeps it so it sucks all this iron into the leaves, and it kind of messes with the metabolism of the leaf, so it can't do the photosynthesis, so it kind of dies out. So it won't get the sun, and it's the metabolism of the plant's all messed up, and then it dies off. So So it looks kind of gross and black and everything when it dies, but it's just iron. So, if you stuck if you spread a bunch of rusty nails out on your front lawn, there's a bunch of iron getting in the soil there too. That doesn't hurt you. And there's iron that exists in the soil anyways. If you get, if you're planting your garden, it's, you're getting all those good minerals and everything, and the plants take up what they need from the roots. And there you go. So it's like that stuff, iron chelate, sounds to me like it would be pretty safe. And if you're getting into Roundup and all that stuff, well, that kills everything. And once it gets in the soil, they say it's safe, but what's it, glyphosate or something, just kind of sticks around. And I don't really want to deal with the Roundup or anything like that. But for my lawn, to get rid of some leftover creeping Charlie and some dandelions, I think iron chelate, Fe blah blah blah, is probably the way to go. There we go. So there's a little bit of lawn stuff that I was talking about. And yeah, not bad. I got 20 minutes done here, and I had no idea what I was going to talk about like an hour ago. So yeah, and then yeah, that's and like I was looking at the views from when I did live from the Gordie Howe International Bridge. It's like, wow, I was getting like quite a few views on that, so that's cool. Thanks for watching them. And I don't know why. It's like whenever YouTube pushes it out there, so it'll pick it up. Or YouTube promotes this and that. I don't know. I'm not one of these algorithm guys that knows exactly what to do. But yeah, that was kind of cool. This one is like, we'll say this one's a medium one. That was like a super one. I'll call this one medium or normal. And yeah, so anybody out there, I do take requests for if you ever have any topics that you want me to talk about, or you need some more info, or I can do the digging for you a little bit more efficiently than you can dig for the aviation questions or whatever. Feel free. I got an email, superpilotish at gmail.com. And no one ever emails me, though. I got a post office box too, and no one ever sends me anything. I haven't gotten anything at all, but maybe I'll stop paying for it. I don't know. But anyways, that is about it for today. And I didn't really see any. What do we got here? Any real questions here? Oh, DH Pilot One has a topic. Yeah, actually, I used one of your topics before for thunderstorms and stuff a little bit, I think. And then, all right, well, let me know there, DH Pilot One. And see now, oh, we got a question here. So, was the Cub Cadet mower designed to sell to pilots? I don't think so. I think I think the Cub Cadet, that might even predated the Piper Cub. I'm not sure. But anyways, I was kind of looking at Cub Cadets a little while ago. I don't know. I think they stopped making them, and then they got bought out by someone else, or I forget. Oh no, that was it. I was looking for one on Manitoulin Island. There was a Cub Cadet dealer, and then they stopped being a dealer. That's what I was remembering, because I was thinking about moving to Manitoulin Island there once. It's once upon a time, but it's expensive to go on that island now. So, okay, we'll check and see if we got any questions back here. Not really. Oh, Wrench actually has a Cub Cadet. Okay, that's pretty cool. Okay, here we go. My fact checker Wrench also says Wikipedia shows 2 mud dauber airplane crashes: a 757 from Dominican Republic in 1996 and Gulfstream 4 in the Caribbean in 2015. There we go. Watch out for bugs in them pitot tubes. And no matter what, if you suspect that your airspeed is off a little bit, that can be blocked, and if you are flying a plane, you'll know when it's messed up. Just remember, as long as you got that power setting that you're usually using and you're developing the power, everything's cool. You don't really need the airspeed. It's good to have. But I've landed an airspeed. I've landed a plane with broken airspeed indicator. It wouldn't indicate over 50 knots the whole time. So I just did the best I could and kept the power settings where I normally did and the attitude that you're looking at, and you don't really need that. People forget how to fly sometimes if they're just programming their jets and their FMSs and everything like that. So, okay, that is about it. So, like and subscribe, all that other fun stuff. And yeah, so I guess we'll just kind of shut her down. And thank you for watching, guys. Bye.